Hi, this is Greg Lamberson, and you are listening to Without Your Head. And I have a long history of film without heads. We have no head in Slime City, we have no head in Killer Rack, and we have no head in Johnny Gruesome's. Check out all those headless films.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by the returning Debbie Rochon. It's very cool to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me back again.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff. You got Bloody Ballet is coming out. I think it is out on video on demand, and it comes out on DVD in December.
December 4th, it hits the physical world. Right now, it's in the internet kind of streaming world, and you can see it right now. But if you want the physical hard copy, December 4th is the day.
Right. So how did you get in? Oh, actually, before I ask that about the physical copy and video on demand, someone who was around for like the heyday of DVDs and tapes and stuff, what are your thoughts on video on demand?
Well, it's surprising, but a lot of my friends who love physical media are getting into the video on demand, because what they'll do is they'll buy a movie and it will live forever on their TV in whatever way that it does. I don't do that myself, but they seem to be perfectly happy with that. And then what they'll do is just have certain movies that they collect physically, and they'll have, whether it's TV series or certain movies, they'll have, living on their TV in there somewhere. Kind of, to me, it's like a big mystery. It's in there somewhere, but they can get to it. Right. So, it's not something I do, but it's really popular. So, when something's going that way, you can't buck it.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird on the TV shows, because I remember back in the day, if you wanted a TV show, you'd have to buy like 20 VHSs of like one season, and it'd be like, impossible to have like a whole series of a TV show. And now you can have them all on like one disc, or you said just all online.
Yeah, exactly. A friend of mine waits till the season's completely over, and then he buys the entire season, and it's usually on sale too. So,
yeah,
if you do it that way, you can get a pretty good cost, and then you don't end up like someone like me who has an entire room, top to bottom, that has physical media in it, and it's basically more their apartment than mine.
I'm the same way. Just even right to the right here, I have a big pile of DVDs.
I just swim through them. What do I want to watch? Well, I'll never find what I want, so I'm just going to stick my hand in this pile, and then whatever comes out, that's what I'm watching tonight.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's easier just to look it up online than it is to go find your DVD. And then I
It's true. But, there is, for collectors to get things signed, or,
sure.
You like to see, I like to put sections, by director and stuff like that. So, that sort of thing is fun. But if you don't care about it and you want to live like very sparse in your house or apartment, then, VOD's fantastic. So I guess, we have to embrace it and, just be thankful that people are they dig it and they watch movies that way.
Yeah, definitely. I like commentary tracks, so that's why I like to get the DVDs.
Yeah. Exactly. And all the extras and everything. I never listen to the commentary tracks until I've seen the movie at least a few times. Because honestly, I still, no matter how many movies you make, I still like the sort of mystery of the movie. And I don't really want to hear about like the inner workings or how they did something, or if everybody got along smashingly, or whatever the case may be. It could take away from it, like, especially if you have like characters that have a lot of tension between them. If you hear them on the commentary track or see it behind the scenes and they're like yucking it up, it kind of
takes you out of it. Yeah.
I'm not buying their rivalry on screen.
I agree. And then there's some trailers give away way too much now. When I was at the movies not long ago, they were showing the new trailer for Glass, Mr. Glass. and like it seemed like they showed the whole movie in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, exactly. They, so many movies are like that because if it is just about, what's going to happen and you're not seeing a movie for, like, you even know what it's about, but you just want to watch it play out, or maybe you're really into the director's work or a certain actor's work. It's kind of like, yeah, you see the trailer and you've kind of already got it, and especially going to the theater, if it's $40 for two people to go, for example, if you buy popcorn, I mean, you may not end up going to see the movie,
Mm-hmm. So Bloody...
I agree.
Yeah. So Bloody Ballet. How did you get involved in Bloody Ballet? And also, it's a different role than a lot of yours, because some of your stuff is like over the top, kind of silly, and it's a very seriously acted role.
Right. No, it's funny because, I totally get that, and I actually love that people, watch the really ridiculous fun ones. But it's funny, like before I get into Bloody Ballet, I'll counter you. I'm not going to disagree, but I'll counter you with the fact that I've done more serious than I have comedy, but people see the comedy more. So that's why, right, while it's a correct perception, it's not like an actual accurate one, if you know what I mean. Like I've done so many serious roles, like Color from the Dark, American Nightmare, Exhumed, all these movies that are very, very much a reflection of the director, like really amazing movies and very serious. But the other ones come to mind, and that's certainly not a bad thing. So with Bloody Ballet, I was first contacted by Matt, the co-writer of the movie, and he contacted me a couple years ago, and, loved the script. I thought it was great, and never heard anything about it. I totally forgot about it because I get a lot of scripts. And then suddenly Brett was like picking up the torch, so to speak, and was going to finish it because they had shot a certain amount and they needed sort of the, I don't know how much he could tell you, but maybe the last 30-40% that they shot, in sequence. And so that's when he contacted me. So it was 2 years later, and I was kind of scratching my head, like, what movie is this again? And he was calling because he was like, yeah, Matt really wanted to have you, because we didn't know each other. He said, Matt really wanted to have you in the movie, and, so what do you think? And so I had to go, back and everything. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. So, because the script is always like really awesome. Like it was so cool. And I've seen a little bits and pieces of his work. See, he does a lot of, DP work for documentaries and stuff. So I knew that he totally knew what he was doing. Like he's a total pro. But then, when we shot this and just seeing how he was lighting and the camera shots and he kind of blew my mind. Like I hadn't seen that sort of style. I wouldn't say detail, because a lot of directors I work with have the detail, but I would say that particular type of style and interest in a certain sort of musical beauty, if you will, since like I worked with Ivan Zuccone in Italy or Stefano Milla in Italy. So it was kind of perfect. He was doing a giallo throwback because I thought he captured it great.
Yeah, and by the way, if the original poster is awesome, and it definitely has the giallo feel to it, not that the new poster is bad, but the original artwork is amazing, which is up on the IMDb page.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what happens. Like distribution companies sell the artwork's up to them, and the title change is up to them. I mean, unless you get a really amazing distributor that knows you well, if you're first time working with them, it's so common that they'll change the name and all the artwork. But I loved the original title and the original artwork. I thought it was beautiful. But, I guess High Octane had to kind of, make it a little bit more, I certainly don't want to say dumb it down, but more appealing, more mass appealing than something, Phantasma. Well, what's that? But okay, bloody ballet. Well, we got that. We know what that's, it's bloody ballet. Okay, so it's more palpable, I guess, for the average Joe, I guess. Yeah, that's how they think. So,
right.
But yeah, I love the original artwork. I love that stuff. I mean, it's just, it incorporates another, group of artists, which is the poster maker. And I think I love that stuff. I love all the departments of art making a movie.
Mm-hmm. So, playing a therapist or doctor, did you base that character off anybody else or any doctor you knew or anything?
I could say that, I based it on all of my multiple therapists that I've seen.
I noticed,
maybe I did. But what'd you say you noticed?
I was like halfway through my question. I thought, well, this makes it seem like Debbie's seen like a lot of therapists in her day or something.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Are you joking? Absolutely. Are you crazy? Because apparently I was. No, you don't have to be crazy to go. You could just, I've had enough pretty traumatic and hard times. It's a good thing. I mean, it's funny too because not to get off the topic of bloody ballet, but you go through a lot of stuff, and early on when you're studying, especially the method or something like that, that you see so many actors they don't want to go to therapy because they don't want to ruin the angst that they have, that they've experienced. They bring to the roles that they play. But I at certain points I think it's a definitely a necessary thing to do, as it is for the ballerina in the movie to come and see me. I wouldn't say I wouldn't be my first choice. I'm not necessarily talking about that character, but considering all the roles I've played, I'm kind of like not exactly like the Dr. Loomis, but how often do the therapists get so involved in someone's life that they, become part of the climax of the movie? But that's actually one of the coolest things that drew me to it. That, it's not going to be another character sitting behind a desk for a couple of scenes and then you're out. You actually you get into a little bit more of the flow of it and the finale and everything. So that's what really appealed to me regarding this character.
Mm-hmm. That's true. When I was watching it and you first pop up, I did kind of think, maybe Debbie's in it to get her name on, on the movie. So, people, hey, we know Debbie Rochon. But no, you are a big part of the movie. And like you said, a big part of the finale of the movie.
Yeah, I like to think so. I try anyway. But it's a great, and the funny thing is I can only talk to you about my experience making the movie because I haven't seen the movie yet.
Oh, okay.
I've only seen the trailer, and I obviously know the story, but, and I was there for the shooting days. But I haven't actually seen the movie yet, so I don't know what's there and what's not. But it was, we did. It was a very intimate working situation.
Mm-hmm. Well,
what
did you think
closely with the other actors.
What did you think of Kendra, who plays your patient, Adriana?
I thought she was phenomenal, really phenomenal, an exceptional actress. Really, just so detailed. You could just tell when you're working with people if their main concern is the material first, what they can bring to it and improve upon, and the details of their character. If these are things that interest them and drive them, they're really good actors. And if they're not already a great actor, they're going to be a good actor, because it's the actors who really just use everything as a platform for themselves or their ego or something like that. It's not as much an artistry approach, but she was just, all about doing everything possible to uplift the film and her character. So I have nothing but great respect for her. And from everything that I've seen, I think she's truly amazing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier about you get a lot of scripts, and you had this one you got like 2 years ago. So how do you pick which movies you do? What do you look for in them?
Well, the truth is, I don't look for budgets so much. Like, I'm not, the budget doesn't scare me off, because I know a lot of directors work with very, very minimal. They can make it look like so much more. And if they have a great story, and very importantly, a great character that I could play, and do something different, do something that's, multi-layered if possible, or if it's comedies, do something completely outlandish and fun. And these are the things that I look for. The stuff that, boring scripts, two-dimensional scripts where, everything's paint by numbers, characters that are just complete throwaways that really anybody could play them. And anybody can play a character. They would just play them differently, for example. But if it's just sort of, like I say, like a one day you're sitting behind a desk kind of doctor, well, okay, that's fine. But, then the pay's got to be there, because it's not a, a passion project for me. So I would just say, the script and the character, that's really what gets an actor excited. So that's what I look for. And it doesn't always pan out. Like, not all the movies come together, because, you're not in charge of the whole movie, just what you do in it. So not all the movies actually come together, piece together, and pan out. But the ones that do are remarkable.
Is that ever disappointing if you do something you think this is really good, and then either the way it's edited or score, whatever reason, the final piece is not what you expected?
Oh yeah, I mean that happens often. It sometimes, because in your mind, and if you've done enough movies, you kind of know where the camera is. You think they're capturing your performance, and they're really not. They don't capture any of the performances that well. It doesn't just have to be your own, and it could be like it could have been all there, but just in the way that it was captured, it could be lost. It could be like almost there, but didn't make it. Because everybody's got to be on point. And if there's little slip ups here and there, it could be from the actors. Doesn't have to be like the DP or something like that. Or maybe there's a singular part of the movie that's not completely strong script wise. Then that's when the great editor comes in. So everybody who's part of the process on, in the chain gang, if you will, there's can't be a weak link, and if there is a little bit of one, then it can be overcome by the other departments. And also, even the makeup department, and I'm not even talking about the special effects makeup. I did this one movie where I was playing this mother of a character, and it was a really juicy role, but she was like a real, trashy, trailer trash, bar hag type of character. But the makeup artist just insisted, and again, this is a lesson that I have learned. Like, if you know something in your gut, you have to stand up for your character. It's not even you, but the character, because I let her be the deciding factor in the hair and makeup for this character, and it was completely wrong. It looked like, a school marm at a bar, as opposed to like a bar wench. You know what I mean? Huge difference, huge, massive difference. And, so you learn, and then you realize, okay, well, I know what happened there, and next time I got to, really put my foot down, because I know who this character is. And you can never assume that the makeup artist does. Then you'll be on other shows, like the movie coming out in January, retitled Doom Room. It was Nightmare Box. Then you have a group like that are just they have the makeup down better than you imagined to capture the character. So if each department is really rock solid, then, then you're really lucky, first of all. And second of all, that's when the money doesn't really matter. But obviously, you have to have money to even have all these departments. So.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned Doom Room. This is coming out in January. Give us a quick idea what that's about.
Yeah, Doom Room is very intense. John Keyes directed that. We did American Nightmare together. It's the first time we collaborated again. Besides Suburban Nightmare, which we co-wrote, but I wasn't in it. I had my fingers cut off 2 weeks before shooting started, so I had to be taken out of it, couldn't do it. So This is the first time in 20 years that we worked together, and we shot it in London, and it's based on the true story of the woman who was captured by this couple and put in a box under their bed for 7 years. That true story?
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
And yeah, really horrible, but it's told from the perspective of the sort of mind of the girl. So it's real, but it's not exactly real because it's her like hallucinating and, combining real with, what's in her really messed up head at this point. So it's super cool. I can't wait for people to see that one too.
Mm-hmm. Did you say you had your finger cut off?
I had all 4 fingers on my right hand severed off with a machete on a film shoot.
Oh God, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Except
for the bones, but everything inside, like the tendons, the nerves, everything. It had 2 operations and 2-3 years recovery with rehab and stuff. And oh boy, it took me a long time to feel comfortable again, being on a set, like really comfortable. Because I just, prior to that, I just had like this ridiculous amount of just complete trust that people knew what they were doing, and nobody would ever give you anything that wasn't a prop. Right?
Yeah. Right?
Why would they do that? But no. So again, lesson on me learned. Now you have to double check. You really have to double check everything. I mean, as an actor, it is your responsibility. I mean, I know there's unions for that, but even still, accidents happen. Mm-hmm. The accidents happen, and they're not even necessarily anybody's fault. There was a stuntman that passed away on the set of The Walking Dead. So, and it's sad, but things happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no means in the amount of movies you've been in, but recently I did a short movie, and I had to fire guns, and like there was and they weren't even real guns, but there was so much like involved, like they had to check them and double check them and make sure no one's actually like in front of me and all these things, before I fired them for the camera.
Mm-hmm. So you have to. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to apologize earlier for saying that you mostly do, over the top stuff. I know you did take offense.
No, don't apologize, because it's true that I do a certain amount of that, and I just finished Lloyd Kaufman's probably last film. He was saying it's his last film, but Lloyd, you never know for sure. But we'll call it that for now. Shakespeare Shitstorm, and it's absolutely so much fun. I mean, doing absurdist comedy is absolutely, it's like you take off all the training wheels and the blinders. You just let loose, and you have to stay grounded. But the more fun you can have as the character, But you have to be grounded, because when you see performers are sort of like they're laying heavy on the comedy lines, or they're winking at the camera, it doesn't come off. It doesn't work. But if you can really have a lot of fun. Like I look at, Killer Rack is really over the top craziness, really fun, but fun. Yeah. Like that sort of thing. I do have a lot of fun making those movies too. But yeah, horror, straight horror, and comedy horror. Love them both. Both.
Yeah. Well, I was in my mind, because I was just at Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival in Buffalo, And one of your movies played there, Post-Apocalyptic Commando Shark. And so I
Yes.
had that in my mind. It's a very over-the-top movie. And that place was packed, actually, for the screening, so you know. And everyone was laughing and having a good time. How did you get involved in Post-Apocalyptic Commando Shark? I assume even just hearing the name, you'd be like,
Okay.
yeah, I think I'd like to do that.
Well, first question is, how can you not be involved with Post-Apocalyptic Commando Shark? But second of all, Sam, the director, I've known him for a lot of years. Like when Greg started putting on the film festival the first year, I was there as a guest. I think we had just made Slime City Massacre. And Sam came in as a brand new filmmaker, and he had one or two of his shorts screened there. And he just developed from there. I mean, he got the best newcomer award, and it's interesting because the shorts were very serious and they were really powerful. So then to see him go from that, and then again, it's like you can't put someone in a peg because you can't like pigeonhole them, because he's not just making serious movies. He's obviously making really outrageous, silly, fun movies. So he kind of does them both as well. But I've known him for a lot of years. He worked on Model Hunger. I've been in probably like 5 or 6 movies with him as an actor, when he's acting as well in films that I've made in Buffalo. So he just happened to catch me right before I did Shakespeare Shitstorm, and he's like, hey, come to Buffalo for like 2 days and we'll do this fun stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, 'cause he sent me the sides, and I was like, well, this is hilarious, get me all primed up, ready for Shakespeare Shitstorm. So we did it. We had a blast, and he was a riot. He's always a riot.
Yeah. It was my first time there at that film festival that Greg puts on. And what I noticed right away is there's a great community there where everyone's like, they see people, come from someone who just helped on a movie, then made the shorts, like you're saying with Sam, and then now he's got he has features. And it was very cool to see that everyone was supportive of everybody, and other filmmakers stayed to watch other people's movies, and it was just a really good time. I hope to go back next year.
Yeah, it's really nice when that happens, because that doesn't always happen with a lot of film festivals. In other words, you won't have the whole community show up for your movie. It's only the people that you've like begged to get in the theater, and the cast, and like anybody else you could drag in off the street. But with the good film festivals, they will stay. They have committed those days that they're in town, and they'll sit and they'll watch all the movies. They're there for film. And so that's one of those film festivals. So yeah, they should be really proud. They have that really good, vibe about it. People go in there for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a little delirious watching 7 straight days of movies, but I had a good time.
Yes. Yes. Oh, by the time you walk out of there, your brain's ready to explode, but I mean, in a good way. It's you've seen so much, and it's impossible to even digest everything. You have to. The first film you saw there felt like maybe 3 years ago you saw it. By the time you're done. But,
exactly. Yeah.
But it's good. For film lovers, it's awesome. It's an awesome experience.
Definitely. So, can you talk more about Shakespeare Shitstorm? What's your role in it?
Okay, I play Senator Sebastian, who is one of the evil people that is very much into big pharma. Like I sort of, sell big pharma to other companies, and we push it. And I'm part of this group. We've come up with this wonderful new drug for all of the like social justice warriors and all the people that are really extreme left. I don't know about extreme right, but all the extremes. And because everything can offend everybody nowadays, we came up with this pill called Safe Spacia. And so it's a must-have, like to keep people on it so they can tolerate everything that's going on because they're triggered by every little thing. So that's just one part of it. And Lloyd plays dual roles, brother and sister. You know, sort of the evil sister who's like works with me. I'm like every scene I had, except for near the end, which I won't give away. But every scene I had was with Lloyd in drag. So I mean that was fun. But once we're on a ship, and we sort of like, 'cause it's based on the Tempest, right? Shakespeare's Tempest. So we crash into the shores of New Jersey, and we're brought to this sort of club holding space. And when we get there, we crashed in the first place because of all of the whale plumes. Basically, we got shit stormed. The whales put so much shit on the boat that it basically sunk it. So that's where the shitstorm comes from. And so we get to the space, the sort of club, and then we all get culturally appropriated. So I am now as a Mexican man, and Lloyd is sort of a Disney ripoff princess, and all the other characters. There's so many great characters. It's hard to even name them all, but things go awry, and it's just amazing. But the coolest thing about the whole thing is it's such a comment on where we're at now. Like everything that's going on today, as far as like, everything has to be appropriate, and everything is like too PC, and everybody's so sensitive. So it sort of takes that to the, 100th power, and kind of deals with that. Because as you know, Lloyd's movies are all about social commentary underneath the slapstick. So that's what this one basically deals with.
Very good. I'm coming off a 30-day suspension on Facebook for a 6-year-old picture where I had a T-shirt of a cartoon zombie Hitler, and someone was like bitching on it, and it was like deemed like hate crime of some kind. And I was like,
"Are you serious?"
Yeah, if anything, it was making fun of Hitler. It's insane. Exactly. No, people are so way out of control, and the fact that I know these social media platforms, they will just take things down as opposed to actually analyzing them and telling some people no, that's actually okay. It's just easier for them to take things down, but for them to take down put you on suspension for wearing a joke T-shirt about Hitler. That's absolutely ridiculous, and that's where we're at today, and that's exactly what this movie's about. Is that sort of state of being? Yeah, and it's interesting. From the same company made that shirt. I also have it's like a Jesus one, so it's a zombie Jesus. No one complains about that. That one's totally fine. But if you one about Hitler is, that's off limits. You can't even make fun of Hitler.
No, don't even bring Hitler up, whatever you do. And when you put a description underneath this podcast, don't put that there's Hitler jokes in here. Or, God only knows what, you get some Secret Service people on your ass. But no, I don't really understand. It's in those moments where I kind of, get nostalgic for the times when, not when people were being abused or bullied, that's different, but when you could say things and people would damn well know you're joking. I mean, come on. Right. But the pendulum will swing back. It will.
So I also
your Hitler T-shirt will be popular once again.
Right.
That's my prediction. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it away.
Yeah, because if you were a real Nazi, you wouldn't show your support with a cartoon zombie Hitler with like a bullet wound in his head. No. That wouldn't be your way of pro Hitler or whatever.
No, and think how sad it is, the person who actually made the accusation against you, like complained about it. Like, what the hell are they doing with their life that they have to be so crazy about this stuff? Like, is it personal? Are they really just like scanning for things to feel the power of suspending you for 30 days? I don't understand.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And they were there arguing with me on the picture, and I was being sarcastic, and but it was very odd because they took everything deadly serious, which I assumed it was very obvious that it was joking, but
yeah.
So how about
a tear comes to my eye, like the Indian who was in the water looking at the garbage. Okay, everybody's gonna have to go and Google that commercial. It's from the 70s, but that's how I feel about that. A tear coming down my eye, like the Indian. Google the commercial if you don't know what I'm talking about, people. It's worth it.
Exactly. And well, can you tell me about Dick Johnson and the Tommygun versus the Cannibal Cop? Because that's another amazing name.
Yes, this is a very, very funny movie. It's about, again, Sam is acting in the movie with John Renna, who also directs it. And they're two kind of bumbling cops trying to crack this case. They were inspired by the real-life story about the Cannibal Cop in New York City. And then that's as far as the actual based on true events goes. But I don't necessarily want to give the ending away, but it's I work in the police station with Danny Hicks, who is, of course, in the Evil Dead sequels and stuff like that. And it's really, really funny. Here's another funny story unrelated to the movie. I got the disc, was sent to me, and it didn't play. So thanks for reminding me. I got to make a note right now. Complain, this didn't work. So I have not seen that one either, even though I have the Blu-ray. It doesn't work on my player. So hopefully I'll be able to catch up with you on all of these things very soon. But that was a blast. Absolutely a blast. And funny enough, again, they usually tie in. That was shot in Buffalo, and that we shot that the same time that Killer Rack was being shot. So basically, on the days off, the crew from one could go over, and maybe even some of the actors go over and work on the other one. Because if you think about it, if you've got these people in town, and a couple people are wanting to make a movie, it's kind of like a genius idea to utilize them as much as you can.
And let's see here. Something sent in here by John. He said that you changed a line in the script and that it made Danny Hicks laugh.
Oh, I did. Well, okay, I was doing a Boston accent. Okay, so when I said, and I can't remember what it was now, but it was something about like all the frogs on the lawn. Something about the frogs on the lawn. I just made it up because it just came to my mind, and doing this Boston accent, it just came out so bizarre and absurd that no matter how many times we did it, he could not stop laughing. I mean, every time he just cracked up until he had tears in his eyes. But I think we finally got it. I think we beat the joke to death, meaning until he laughed and got it out of his system, and then we shot it. But I was like, okay, might be a good line if it's cracking Danny Hicks up this much. So hopefully I still had the punch by the time we got it out. But oh yeah, he's a joy. He was a joy. What a nice guy he is. I can't believe it. Incredibly nice guy.
John did send me the line when he told me to mention the story. He said, I was eating frogs off the front yard.
Oh, yes. I was eating frogs off the front yard. Yeah. Believe me, I'm out of practice, but I hit every, vowel and consonant as Boston as I could. It was like, yeah, it was It probably sounds silly, but you had to be there, I guess. But it was very, very funny. It was funny.
I'm from Massachusetts, so I like the idea.
Okay. So,
right.
you know, if someone was overdoing it, you could kind of imagine that it would be pretty funny. Yeah.
Right. It's like in every movie set in Boston, everyone talks like that. They always go. They really go. But he also said that he actually used the one take where Danny laughs. That's the take.
He does? He did?
Yeah, I guess
so. Oh, that's good. Thank God. I think the line was still fresh at that point, so that's lucky for me. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I really can't.
Yeah, I want to check it out too.
Good memories.
Really so, you mentioned Model Hunger before, which I was a big fan of. Do you have any plans to direct the movie again?
Yes, Torment Road. Torment Road is going to be made in 2019, like the spring. I don't have exact dates yet, but we have a script, and we did a fundraiser, and I'm really hoping to raise some extra money outside of the fundraiser as well. And, it's going to be a really, really good movie. It's obviously very different from Model Hunger. Also written by James Mogart, though. And I went to him and I said, really want to do like a road movie, horror elements to it, but just like a really fucked up horror movie that's all that really follows the theme of what a road movie is. Someone searching for something, they're not in their element. They are, they just come upon from one bad situation going into the next, which is worse upon worse upon worse. And, and he just like went with it. So, yeah, we have an incredible script and we'll be doing it 2019. Very excited.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to that. Do you think doing your second feature, you're directing your second feature, like you learn stuff off the first one, like knowing what to do, but I guess what not to do?
Oh, sure, but yeah, it's like every movie has its own child in every way, and this one is going to be a lot smaller budget, but doesn't mean less of a movie. It could turn out very well being more. Because it's not. It's very. I don't want to say it's not as ambitious because it is with the script and everything, but it's kind of designed so it could be over the course of a couple of months. It could be shot just because of the nature of shooting it in sequence and what's going on with the character. It won't have the pressure of a lot of people being brought in from out of town in this very short 20-day span where no matter what, everything has to get done. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I learned on Model Hunger, there's no doubt. But going forward with Torment Road, that's, it's such a different animal that I think even though it doesn't have the same amount of money, I really think it's going to be better. Just better because of the nature of the subject matter and how it's going to be shot, and that's what I think. That's my goal.
I want to ask a few.
Make movies that I would like to see. You know?
Yeah. Mind if I ask a few questions from Facebook and Twitter? Because a lot of people send some in. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is not really a question, but Dean Dole says, if they ever make another live-action Addams Family movie, Debbie must be Morticia. He says, not a question, but a demand.
And you know what? I agree. I fully agree. Let's do it.
All right. John Wood, this is an interesting question. What's the best gift you ever received from a fan?
Well, besides all of his illustrations, because he's an extremely talented artist, I would have to say, well, I get, it really has to be the artwork, because I've had various different forms of like paintings and, the illustrations, of course, and sort of like little models of characters. So I would have to be specific enough to say artwork, but general enough to say, kind of all of it, because I've had everything from acrylic sort of paintings to, sketches and, like one of the coolest things, and this is not from a fan, obviously, but one of the coolest things that I've done is I have like a beautiful painting that Dave Stevens did of me. It's on the cover of one of his sketchbooks, but it's just like amazing. Like art is like, I don't know, it's the coolest thing really. So I would have to say that.
Yeah, very cool. Robert Ropars, if you could star in the remake of any classic legendary horror film, what would it be and why?
Yeah, that's a good question, Robert. That's a tough one because I've been thinking about that, but I still have to go back to my favorites, and the one thing it's never going to happen. I don't have to worry about offending anybody talking about remakes. But if I was able to, in my own imagination and in my own mind, I would go back to The Thing. I would love to be, Kurt Russell in The Thing. And not to be him, but to play that part.
The character.
Something really my favorite movies. Really, they have male characters because my favorite movies are from the 70s. And so there's very few female roles that were written during that particular time that stand out for me. Maybe Alien, there's movies like that you could point to. But they'd have to be a role that was written, into it being a female. So, that would definitely be one. I mean, love to be in The Warriors. I don't know what I would play in there. There's so many great characters. I would love to be the taxi driver. I would love to be the road warrior. I mean, yeah, and not just because they're the leads, but I love the anti-hero character. And so often they don't, and this is kind of the why to his question, because they don't really write a lot of characters for women that are anti-heroes. I mean, they'll write final girls, they'll write some really kick-ass action roles for women, but the anti-hero, like the angst character that sort of goes through the movie, and there's some resolution with the story, but not necessarily complete resolution for the character. They're kind of like maybe even worse off sometimes. And that sort of anti-hero character, that's what I would love to do.
I think you'd make a great Travis Bickle when you bring that up.
Hey, me too. But, well, for our fantasies in our minds, we'll probably have to keep it there. But, yeah, that would be fucking great.
Yes, it would. Justin Ware, do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, yeah, I do, because I've experienced them. I was on a ghost hunting. It was basically a documentary. It was with Jim O'Rear. And we were in this place in Tennessee, and it was a hospital that had been shut down, but we were there for the night. And I heard disembodied voices, and specifically some older ladies going like, woohoo, woohoo, like they were down the hall. And that's kind of the old school way that some of the Southern ladies would call for their nurses. And so between that and some experiences I've had when I was younger, I tell you right now, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that they not only exist, but they're good and there are bad. And they both exist. And, the occasional disembodied voice is cool, but you don't want to go down the rabbit hole and meet too many of the demonic ones. They can stay away.
Right.
The happy ones that want to help clean and do the dishes, they're welcome over.
All right. So if there's any ghosts out there listening, you heard that.
Yeah, that like cleaning, as opposed to throwing things down and smashing them, kind of doing the opposite, So if they want to do that, then yeah.
Yeah, you never hear about those ones. I guess people don't want people to know because they want to keep them to themselves.
Now that would be a great show, you know what I mean? Like if the Ghost Adventures guys, if they went to, some haunting and instead of things crashing, it was, the sort of poltergeist action was the opposite, things would be like tidied up, turnarounds and all the dishes are done as opposed to, the chairs on the table or something. That would be cool.
Yeah, and then like the people who would come to get rid of poltergeists and stuff, they'd be like the enemy because they'd want to keep those people away.
Yes, exactly. yeah. You'd lock the doors for them. No need. Carry on.
Right. Let's see. We're going to say a couple more here quick because I got a lot of them. But Thomas Seymour wants to know, what is your personal biggest victory in your career?
Oh, what a good question. There's so many ways to answer that, I'll tell you what. The first movie I did with Gunnar Hansen at that particular time in my life, that was a massive victory because we had been friends for a few years even prior to that. And when we did Hell Block 13, it was so much fun and such a joy meeting him, working with him, and hanging out with him. That was just a personal, highlight for me. American Nightmare was really good because it did exactly what we were talking about earlier in the conversation. It took someone who was only being given a certain type of role, a very different role, and people were able to see me differently, therefore cast me differently into like serious, crazy, but serious roles. Mm-hmm. So that was, and the making of it, and there was a ghost story in that one too. The place I was staying in, there was sort of one of those end tables that was between two sort of bunk beds. They weren't bunks, but they were sort of like the cots, if you will, in the room that I was staying in. And it was like every night the thing would sort of like jump around a bit and slide. And I said to John, is this place haunted or anything? Because that's, I'm not hearing any trains or anything going by to shake this stuff. And he's like, no, it's haunted. So there you go, another experience there. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't a bad one. It didn't do anything. I just was like, oh, okay, it's the ghost thing again. And yeah, I mean, just boy, I could go down the list for all different reasons. I mean, making color from the dark, getting to work on material of great writers, like Color from the Dark based on H.P. Lovecraft's short story with Yvonne Zuccone, getting to do Telltale Heart, the Edgar Allan Poe piece, getting to do the movie with Thomas, Rudyard Kipling's Mark of the Beast. I mean, we did that movie together. So there's something really, really cool about working on something that was based on some classic literature. And of course we have Romeo and Juliet and Shakespeare Shitstorm based on Shakespeare's plays. So there's more of that. But, it's funny, and then in radio, Fangoria Radio was, time of my life. I loved that. We had a fantastic time. That was stellar. I mean, I had people on from Dexter as my co-host when Dee Snider was traveling, and I mean, you can't beat it for memories. Yeah,
very cool. G. Frank Lott. He has a few questions. I'll pick one. I know you've never had an easy life. Is there any one resource you turn to get through the rough times?
Yeah, it's funny, but you can really, continuously fall down the rabbit hole at different points in your life. Like once you get out of the rabbit hole, doesn't mean that you're out of it for good. It's kind of like you've constantly got to be on top of things. Things never really are easy. I mean, I'm not saying that they are for anybody, but certainly they never become easy. I think it's just you have to figure out how to battle your demons. And sometimes they win for a while if you haven't kept them in check and you've taken it for granted. Sometimes they'll sort of slide back in and they'll start kind of winning, and then you've got to beat them back with a lot of hard work, which includes just working on whatever it is, whatever art that you're working on now. I'm a firm believer that art is good for the soul, it's good for the mind, and to not be overly concerned about what anybody thinks. I mean, you could take really good criticism and learn from it if it's well done. Not, you suck, it sucks. No. You have to be able to let all of that stuff go, especially nowadays. I mean, that stuff, it's so meaningless because it's completely not thought out. You can take criticism, but at the end of the day, you have to believe in whatever it is you're doing more than anything else. And that kind of sees you through, like your stubbornness, your strong will, and your sort of like, blinders. And you just keep putting in everything that you've got, no matter what that is. Some days it can only be 5% of what you're capable of if you're having a really bad day. But if you do anything towards something that you're working on, you will find yourself winning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a great message to end the show with. It's been a great time.
Okay.
It's been a great time talking to you.
Well, thank you for having me on again. That's awesome.
It's the third time, so we'll do it
again.
The third
time's a charm.
Exactly.
We're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Believe me, there's stuff coming out, and we'll talk about Torment Road, and we'll talk about all the great other stuff that's coming out. And but you hit on all the current releases, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And I'm sure people can just put in Debbie Rochon and they'll find you. But do you want to plug any of your social media sites or anything?
Well, if they just go to debbierochon.com.
And then it connects everything.
Sites. Yeah, because then you could just go to whichever one that you're on or you're interested in or whatever from there, as opposed to rattling them all off. Who's going to remember anyway? So just go to debbierochon.com, and they're all the links are just right there.
Exactly. Very good. Well, thank you again. It's been a great time.
Well, thank you very much, and you have a great night. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hi, this is Trista Robinson from Echoes of Fear, and you're listening to Without Your Head.